Hey guys, so today we're going to be go ahead and we're going to be adding positive and negative integers. So the integers pretty much means that there's no fractions involved. It could be negative and positive. It could be zero, but just no decimals or fractions or anything like that. All right. So some of the tools we're going to be using. I'm going to be using a red positive sign for all the positive numbers. I'm going to be using a blue negative sign. And pretty much how I like to do this is I like to emphasize that a positive number and a negative number cancel out. Right? For every single positive and negative, they basically just go away, and that's just going to equal zero. And so we're gonna be using that to solve our equations today. All right. So the first problem here, we've got -3 plus 5. So since it's first a negative, we're going to go ahead and put three negative signs. I've got one, two, and three. For the five, since it has a plus in front of it, it's going to be positive. Right? So we're going to put five positives. We got one, two, three, four, and five. All right. So how we're going to do this is for every negative and every positive, you're going to cancel it out, right? Because the negative and positive cancel. So that's going to go away. That's going to go away. And that's going to go away. And with whatever we're left with, that's our final answer. Since we're left with two positives, our final answer is just a positive two, or just a two. And that's it. All right, so second one here. Now we've got seven negatives. So we're going to go over here and we're going to write one, two, three, four, five, six, seven negatives. And now since it's a plus four, that's going to be four positives, right? So we're going to write one, two, three, and four. All right. And now the same thing. For every positive and negative there is, they just cancel each other out. Right? So you got one, two, and three, and four. Four positives cancel out with four negatives. And now we're just left with these three negatives here. Right? We just have those. So our answer is -3. And that's it. All right. So number three. So this one's a little different, right? Because we have a negative plus a negative. So essentially, when you're adding two negatives, there's nothing that it's going to cancel out with, right? Same thing if you add two positives, it's not going to cancel out with each other. So if you just have negatives, we're still going to do the same approach. We're going to write one, two negatives, but now we're going to add six more negatives to that, right? So you got one, two, three, four, five, six more negatives, right? So this is the two negatives. That's like -2. And this is -6. So now you're just counting them up, right? Because there's nothing canceling out here. So you just have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So now you have our final answer is just -8. Right, so that one you want to be a little careful with. You want to make sure you're not canceling anything out because you need a positive to cancel out with a negative. All right, so this one here. Now we have five positives. Right, we've got one, two, three, four, and five. And now there's one more positive as well, right? So we can keep adding to these positives. We got now a total of six positives. And now we also have eight negatives. So we got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. And now we're going to go ahead and cancel them out. Right? For every positive and negative number, they go away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now what we're left with is just these two negatives here. Right? So since it's two negatives left over, our answer is going to be negative. So our final answer is just negative 2. All right, very nice. And now we've got one more. So now it's got 4, right? 4 numbers with it. But same exact approach. First, we look at our negative 9. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But not only do we have 9 negatives, but now we have another 3 negatives as well. Right? So now we could just add on to that. Now we got 1, 2, 3 negatives. So we should have 12 total. And now we're going to go ahead and look at the positives. Right? We've got 2 positive numbers. Our first one is 4. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then our second one is 5, right? So we're going to have now another 5 positives. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so we should have 9 total positives and 12 total negatives. And now we're just going to cancel out every positive and negative number. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And now what we're left with is 3 negatives. So our final answer here is going to be negative 3. So the whole point of this exercise is to try to understand that the positives and negatives cancel out, right? Essentially, what you're kind of just doing is you're subtracting the numbers, right? We're subtracting 12 from 9. But since the 12 is the positive, since we have 12 negatives here, we're still left over with a negative number, right? So whatever your bigger number is essentially what your final answer is going to be. If your bigger number is positive, or I'm sorry, if your bigger number is negative, your answer is going to be negative. If your bigger number is positive, then that means you would have positives left over, and your final answer is going to be positive. And yeah, that's how I like to kind of think about it. I just think about the positive and negatives canceling out with each other, and I think that's the best approach. Until you kind of have it down, go ahead and use this method, and then once you kind of get a good understanding of what's actually happening, you can kind of go without it. But when you're just learning, this is the best approach. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. That is all I got for you. Go ahead and subscribe, like, leave any comments, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. All right. Bye.